too much time on you, and I don't wanna think like you do, 'cause I've not got the mind to find the truth. Taken all my life from me, to stand right here and see that I always had the thing I need. I don't wanna look back, falling too fast. My heart's got bruises. Try to put myself first, but I can't 'cause it hurts too much to lose this. My heart's got bruises. It hurts too much to lose this. Stuck waiting on you to play. Please tell me you know what to say. That's all I need to make me stay. But it's too much to ask you. Easier for you to find an excuse, and I've not got the mind to find the truth. You stuck in reverse, 'cause I got it first. Don't you tell me you're feeling hurt, 'cause you wouldn't listen if I scream. I can't take this, so we won't make it. But you knew this, 'cause my heart's got bruises.
All right. It is that time once again, OMFL. Welcome to the Down and Distance show. We have our playoff version or episode tonight. And I would like to welcome in once again yours truly, the ones who helped me with this show and are the co-host between the three of us, myself, Big Hurt, yours truly with the Indianapolis Colts and Cincy Iceberg, and yours newly added, as well as yours truly, Maniac with the Minnesota Vikings. Welcome, gentlemen.
School.
He said school. How are we doing tonight? How are you guys doing? It's late night after dark, OMFL after dark. But how are you guys doing?
It's late night in the OMFL.
Yeah, ready to get this show on the road here.
Absolutely. Well,
Playoffs.
That is correct, Maniac. It is playoff time. I'm going to slide this down a little bit so we can see. But I'm going to kind of recap the playoffs of where we're at right now and kind of just jump in and give a little update. As we are one game away from completing the first round here. So just kind of looking at things. Like I said, quick recap. In the AFC side, we had a big upset with the 7 seed Massimo and the Vikings. Massimo and the Dolphins taking down the Cincinnati Bengals 2 seed 42-27. We had the 6 seed taking down the 3 seed Chiefs, the Bills, led by Bills, winning 16-13. And then Cincy with the Colts as the 4 seed, taking down the 4-time OMFL Bowl representative on the AFC side in Denver with the Browns, 37-28. On the flip side of things, the NFC, the 2 seed Saints pull out a 17-6 victory over my Bears. And Trey, the 4-seed Lions, beating the Giants 31-20. The only game left that we have at this point is the Cowboys with Dwayne and the Penguins-led Commanders. If I remember right, I wanted to see this game is scheduled for Wednesday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. So this will be completed tomorrow afternoon. Gentlemen, give me your thoughts, just quick thoughts, quick recap as we completed those games. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, go ahead, Maniac. You can lead us off here, buddy.
All right. Well, there was only basically one game, I think, in this whole entire wild card round so far that unfolded the way I thought it would unfold, because the Dolphins upsetting the Bengals was one of the biggest surprises, I think. Just the way that he dominated that second half of the game was impressive. I know forced little Koch to kind of make some mistakes. And then the other big surprise on the AFC side was the Colts handing the defending AFC champion that big loss. I mean, that's we were all talking about the Denver-led Browns being the most potent wild card team to be in the playoffs, the most scared, and so Cincy took care of business in the wild card, and he's moving on. Bill and the Chiefs, that was kind of one that I anticipated being a low-scoring game. I think talking about that on Catch Pass Live, I think my prediction on that one was 17-13. I think so. I was pretty close on that one. And then moving over to the NFC, I did not. No slight against Nate, but I did not see him dominating your Bears like he did. And it wasn't like just full domination, but the defense just shut down your offense completely. And that was impressive for my side on that. And then Trey, I to his credit, I did not think he was going to beat Colin. I thought Colin was coming in really hot into the playoffs, and I thought he would give Trey a one and done, and Trey rose to the occasion and show why he's the NFC North champion.
Cincy, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I'll start over on the AFC side here. So that Dolphins Bengals game, I tuned in a bit of that, and yeah, I just felt like Massimo, he just made Lil Koch feel uncomfortable during the game. I don't think he was comfortable calling the correct plays, and he was just not reading it correctly. But give props to Massimo moving on to the divisional round to take on the Jets. So he'll have a battle there. And the other matchup was Bills Chiefs. Bill being the 6th seed, he flexed and showed his defense. Shocks again was not making comfortable reads. It looked like he shied away from the run game maybe a little early in that one. And then in my matchup, I pulled away a victory. It's always tough playing Denver, especially how hot he was coming in and everybody was up against him. But we each had a couple early turnovers. I got a late turnover to help me over the cushion there. But moving on, I get to host Bills next week. He took the victory in the regular season, so we'll see what happens in the divisional round. And then that Bears Saints game, there was about 11 or 12 total sacks in that game. I mean, it was a battle on defense in the trenches, that's for sure. both ways. It's not like one was dominant, and the other one wasn't. Both defenses showed up. Uh, Nate scored a pick six in that one off of a RPO read. Um, that's a big game changer. But there was also a blocked field goal late in the game that could have made it 17-9, and instead kept Hurt at six, and then it changed the game because now it's still a two possession game late in it. So that definitely played a huge factor, I feel like, and maybe the Bears retool something on the offensive side going into 105 there and take another shot back. But hats off to Nate. He's the 2 seed. He's moving on. And then the other matchup, Lions Giants. You know, to be honest, it was kind of irritating when we started off these playoffs because you see these guys downplay. Like, they play a whole season, and you got Trey and Nate both announcing their games and both saying they're going to get beat. I don't want to hear that. Like, you play a whole season, go out there, you want to win, you win. You're not going to get beat if you have, you're going to get beat if you have low confidence. But I don't know what you guys are trying to pull. Both getting wins and saying you're losing. I don't know. I'm not playing that line. Just go out there and win your matchups. Don't say you're going to lose. I don't care if you're playing D Money or if you're playing St. Mary Church of the Blind. Just go out there and win the game. And yeah, that's all I got to say about that.
Well, those are some definitely accurate and interesting thoughts on the playoffs. One thing that I want to touch is I was unable to, being that I was traveling and just busy week. I didn't get to catch a lot of these games, which I really wanted to. I caught the tail end of the Lions Giants game. By the time I tuned in, there was only like 4 or 5 minutes left in the game. And it was already 31-20, so that game was pretty much done and over with. I did not get to see the Bengals-Dolphins game at all. I tuned in to the Bills-Chiefs game, and it was 16-0. Sharks got 2 late touchdowns and missed a 2-point conversion, but basically made this game close at the end, or I should say looking close at the end, but it wasn't really close at all. Bills defense, did its thing for the entire game. And then I did not get to catch the Colts Browns game, which is the game I wanted to tune in, just because I felt that it was going to be a heavyweight matchup between two strong offensive players and minded people, as Denver has just been tossing the ball around the yard with Deshaun Watson the way he has, and then Cincy, running game, getting JT back, signing him to a big deal going into the playoffs, and then getting Michael Thomas the season that he's had. I really wanted to tune in. My biggest thing that I find interesting is that all 3 games on the AFC side, even though Cincy was the higher seed, a lot of people are picking Denver just because of his track record the last 4 seasons. So you could arguably say there was 3 upsets in the first round in the AFC. And then on the NFC side, the Saints and the Lions both winning were the higher seed and the predicted winners. So I find that interesting, as we've talked about giving credit to the AFC all year long, and here the bottom seeds are giving those top seeds a chance, like a run for their money, and pulling out the wins. The thing I want to point out is Burrow had such a strong year and comes into this game and throws 4 picks. But really the key is that Cam Akers had 14 carries for 123 yards. And we have not seen Massimo with that type of offense all year long. You go look at Tyreek Hill, had 4 catches for 85 yards, did have 2 touchdowns, but those are numbers that we can live with. We're not seeing Tyreek Hill with 200 yards, So I think Massimo found this balanced attack, and then, like you said, kind of made Little Koch feel uncomfortable. We already talked about Bill. He just dominated defensively. Shocks actually made a surprising move following this game and cutting Travis Kelce, so that's an interesting move. And then as I kind of mentioned going into this game. I thought Cincy was going to take Jonathan Taylor, you know, use him the way he did the first half of the season, and gave him 24 carries for 146 yards, and tore it up on the ground. But then Mr. Consistent, Michael Thomas, 5 catches, $120, 2 touchdowns. That's the balance that just makes it so dynamic and tough and such a potent offense in Indy right now. So that's why I feel like the Colts were able to pull that one out. Touching base on my Bears game, you're right. We had a ton of sacks. We look at the offensive yards. I had 214. Nate had 162. It really wasn't much of a fun game to watch unless you like defense. That blocked field goal came when it was 14-6, and I was going for a field goal to make it 14-9, and then he ended up getting a late field goal to seal the win when it was 14-6 after that block. So that field goal put him up 17-6, making it a 2-score game late in the fourth quarter. I was unable to run the ball, which was the key for me going into that game, was knowing that Nate's defense had played so strong, and I was unable to do that. And Davenport, 6 sacks, was just an animal and different specimen that game. It was unreal. But in that game, yeah, there was quite a few sacks. And then the Lions game, like I said, we talked about it. The biggest thing I thought was the 3 turnovers by the Giants in the passing game. Really kind of Colin can't really do that and expect to win, which I was kind of shocked because I felt like Colin went through the gauntlet playing Penguins and D-Wayne all year. But that's kind of a recap for the first round. I am looking forward to seeing this Cowboys-Commanders game. I'm hoping to be able to catch it. But moving on, if we can predict our second and third rounds, as we sit, the Jets will host the Dolphins, and the Colts will host the Bills. I'd like to see what your guys' picks are for that second round in the AFC, and then also give me your picks for the second round in the NFC. But you're going to have to pick the Cowboys or the Commanders, because it's either going to be Commanders going to the Niners and the Saints and the Lions playing, or the Lions playing the Niners and the Cowboys and Saints playing. So go ahead and give me your guys' picks, where we're sitting at right now with the playoffs, and as well as that Cowboys-Commanders game.
All right, Cincy, do you want to go ahead and go on this one?
Yep. I'll start it off for us here. All right, so on the NFC side here, I mean, I love my boy Dwayne, but I'm just gonna stick with my preseason pick here. I gotta advance, the flightless bird on this one here. So I got flightless bird taking care of Dwayne, and he gets his blessing, and he gets to take on Computer San Francisco in the next round, and then he'll win that one. And then it's Nate versus Trey. It's gonna be a battle. That's gonna be a battle. I can actually see I could see Nate getting under the skin of Trey in a couple things during this game with his gameplay and taking the win here. And I can see, the Saints versus Commanders there in the NFC. Now, are we giving all the way to the Super Bowl or just that round?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go ahead and pick all the way to the Super Bowl, go ahead and give us your pick.
All right. Well, you know how it goes from there on the NFC. I got Commanders beating the Saints in the NFC Championship game, and Penguins going to represent the NFC in OMFL Bowl 104. On the AFC side, we've got my Colts taking on the Bills here, and it's going to be a close one there. It's hard to call your own game here, but I feel like as long as I don't have any silly turnovers, I can take care of Bill there. I just got to watch the turnovers because he's got a very good defense, very underrated defense. But I'll take myself advancing there, and then you know what? I actually have Massimo coming up with the upset. I got Massimo beating the Jets with he's got a couple key injuries that are under the radar. And I think Massimo, if he plays that balanced attack, I think he, as long as he's got 0 turnovers and he plays that balanced attack, I think he can take care of the Jets. And then we're gonna go me versus Massimo here, and I'm gonna try and redeem myself and play Penguins here in the OMFL Bowl 104. And that's it. That's all I'm giving.
That is going to be fun to watch as this unfolds. You mentioned the Jets do have a few injuries, so I did pull it up here so our viewers can see this. Quinnen Williams is right end, 90 overall, is out for 3 more weeks. He is going to get Elijah Moore back for that second round, but Mekhi Becton is going to be out for 3 more weeks as well. So he's going to be missing a key piece on both sides of the line. I don't see the Dolphins, I believe, had any injuries. No, they do have an injury. Tyler Conklin, tight end, is out for 4 weeks. So that, but that's definitely not as big of a piece as Mekhi Becton or Quinnen Williams. So it'll be interesting there. The one thing I'm also interested in, based on your picks, is if I remember correctly, didn't you play Bill in the regular season?
I did play Bill in the regular season. That was JT's 2 fumble game, lost by 1 possession, I believe.
That's right. I do remember that game. I was actually really shocked. It was a 28-21 win by Buffalo in Buffalo. Bill scored 15 points in the fourth quarter to pull out the win. And as you said, Carr had no touchdowns, but did throw 1 pick in that game, but had 216 yards. Nick Chubb had 20 carries for 94. Taylor 18 for 94. 3 touchdowns, but the key was those 2 fumbles. It'll be an interesting rematch for sure. I'd like to see that. And then you said the Dolphins with the upset on the Jets. I just want to see 14-24 in their first matchup and 24-34. So 2 10-point losses for the Dolphins versus the Jets. Definitely a tough task to beat a team 3 times in one season. And Massimo hasn't been blown out, so definitely an opportunity for him to possibly pull out the win. Maniac, what do you got for your picks here as we go back and pull up the playoff bracket? What's your picks here for the rest of the season 104 playoffs?
All right. Well, as I got kicked off the server, so I'm trying to get back on here, but I did write down all my stuff. So we're going to go ahead and start off over on the NFC side, and we'll pick that Cowboys versus Commanders game. I'm going with the man named Dakota, the Dakota Nightmare that resides in Big D. He is on a mission. I think, I don't know if he feels slighted that he hasn't been getting maybe the recognition or just, put some respect on his name type of deal. But I do believe that Dwayne is going handle business. I still think Penguins is kind of hungover off his vacation, and I think it's going to affect him in the long run. It's going to be a close game. So that matchup then would bring the Lions going to the 49ers for me, and then that would match up Nate and Dwayne. So Trey gets to play the CPU. And so that's I'm going to give that one to Trey, unless he gets kind of cutesy, and then that 49ers team is stacked everywhere, so it could throw him a curveball, but I don't see it. So we're going to advance the Lions to the championship game, and then he'll face off against Dwayne. I think Dwayne's defense versus Nate's struggles. It seemed like he's kind of had the last few weeks on offense. I think it's too much to overcome for Nate. Even though I'm shocked, proud, however you would say it, that he advanced through the wild card round. So we're going to move the Cowboys versus the Lions in the championship game, and that would be seed 3 and 4 versus each other. So that's not exactly what I saw, because obviously D-Money's out of town taking his siesta, but this is going to be an intriguing matchup because Dwayne is very defensive, but he's also very balanced. And Trey has, from the games that I have watched, I think he's struggled against teams that are really balanced in their offensive attack. And Dwayne's no slouch either on his defensive side. He's very, very consistent, and his teams are ranked in the top 5 or 10, I think, in defense right now. So, with that said, I think this game is really going to be coming down to turnovers, mistakes, and Trey does fall in love with trying to get the ball down the field to his big play receiver, and I think that's going to be the undoing. So I look for the Cowboys to advance to the to represent the NFC side. Look for this game to be like a 27 to 21 game. So then moving on over to the AFC side, we have the Jets versus the Dolphins and the Bills versus the Colts. So go ahead and do the Colts and the Bills. Bill has had a really good season, but he's still struggling, I think, on offense. And Cincy has shown that he can score against the top defense like in Denver. So I really think that with Cincy, he is also kind of a balanced attack player, really plays off the run well. And I just think that's too much for Bill and the Bills. And I look for this game to be pretty much over around the last of the third quarter. I'm going to go ahead and call this one a 32 to 17 victory over the Bills. And then moving on over to the Jets versus the Dolphins. The Dolphins have definitely showed some ability to make the big plays, but then like Cincinnati had pointed out that he was really solid in that wild card a game with a balanced rushing attack. And so this could be an issue for the Jets, but I still think even though the Jets do have some key injuries, I still believe, I think that he can pull this game out. Again, it's against a rival from from inside your own division, and so they know each other. They've played each other twice already, and I just see that the Jets have dominated most of the division games, especially in the latter half of the season. So give me the Jets here for maybe a little closer game than I would have anticipated to begin with, 24 to 23. And so that's going to bring your matchup to Colts versus the Jets, 1 versus number 4. I think this one's going to be quite the matchup. Kobe has been, like I said, he's been really efficient the last part of the season, racking off, I think, 12 wins in a row or something like this. It's just crazy what he's done. But the Colts have had a little bit of inconsistency, losing to the Texans and a couple teams, even though he was missing his star running back. If he can stay healthy, I'm going to call this an upset. The Colts win. And I think this one will be kind of a similar type of game between the Jets and the Dolphins. But I think it's going to be like a 28 to 20, 26 game and give the Colts the nod to move on to Bowl 104 against the Cowboys. So Colts versus Cowboys is a rematch of Super Bowl, was it 5, I believe, in the NFL. Cincy versus Dwayne. This is where I think the Cinderella season ends for the Colts. And I think Dwayne's just going to have, again, I think he's got a chip on his shoulder. And Dwayne wins this one. I would say like a 34 to 20, 24 over the Colts in Bowl 104.
Definitely some solid picks, and it'll be interesting because I think you have some different picks there from Cincy, as well as I think you have Dwayne beating the Commanders, which pretty much flips his bracket upside down since he had Penguins. I'm interested to see what the second round brings. You mentioned how Kobe was on like such a streak. I went and looked. Kobe has won 11 straight, and D Money has won 13 straight. So those two have just been on fire and playing such consistent football. But obviously, with Dwayne being out of town for the playoffs, it's going to be up to Kobe to maintain that streak because I don't see D Money's streak continuing being the computer. Even though his team is that good, they could still get a win in that second round, depending on who plays and how they play. But for my picks, I'm going to start in the NFC just because I am an NFC team. I do have, being that it was a season split between the Cowboys and the Commanders, but as I've mentioned in previous shows and times, I'm going to go with who's hot. I'm going to go with who's playing the best football right now because I think any given day the Cowboys or the Commanders could win. It's kind of a coin flip. But like I said, I'm going to go with who's hot. And that's, like you said, Dakota, Dwayne has just played good football and down the stretch kind of took over the division and reigned in as the NFC East champion. And so I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to go with the Cowboys beating the Commanders and going on to playing Nate in the second round as the Saints. And I have Trey playing D Money. I find this interesting because I feel like Trey is hoping for this matchup because that would open up the door for him to get that CPU win and put himself in the NFC championship. Just don't overlook that because D Money's pass rush, DBs, the way Trey plays, it'll be interesting to see, even if he is playing the computer, what type of game that is. And then, but I do have Trey beating the computer and squeaking that one out. And then the Saints versus the Cowboys. That will be another fun slugfest defensive matchup. The first time they played, it wasn't very high scoring. I think it was like 16-3, if I remember correctly. Yeah, 16-3. Dwayne did win. I think Dwayne's defense is just too much and will frustrate Nate. And Nate's defense is solid, but D Money just sticks to what he does best, and that runs the ball and throws those little tight end passes and utilizes his receivers. And, like I said, I don't anticipate anything different from the first matchup, but I do have Dwayne winning versus the Saints to play Trey in the NFC Championship game. So Cowboys versus Lions. And this would be a fun one to watch. I personally, I'm going to have to give it to Dwayne. Like I said, I'm going to stick with who's hot. Although I do think Trey has the ability with his receivers to compete and give Dwayne some trouble. I just think Dwayne's playing better football right now and down the stretch. So I'm gonna go with Dwayne. His defense can get after the quarterback, create havoc, and Trey's younger quarterback kind of folds under the pressure, and Dwayne pulls through, goes on to the OMFL Bowl season 104, representing the NFC. On the AFC side, I'll be honest, I'm kind of struggling here because I did not see Massimo making it out of the first round, and that's still kind of like hard for me to see. I just felt like Massimo was so one dimensional and airing it out with Tyreek Hill, and then I see him running the ball for over 100 yards with Cam Akers, and I'm like, where has this been all season? Because if you were doing that, I don't know that you would have struggled to get in the playoffs like you did. I think that would have made you more balanced and opened up the door for the passing game and made it your offense more potent. So I do see you competing with Kobe, but at the end of the day, Kobe buckles down. I do see him winning a squeak. One squeaks one out here. I'm going to say 30-27 Jets. And then in the other AFC game, I have the Colts pulling away from Bill in this game. Bill's offense has just been very stagnant lately. And Cincy has been firing on all cylinders, running the ball, utilizing Michael Thomas very well, which is up for awards for Player of the Year, and it's well deserved. I mean, this dude has revived his career and playing some of the best football from the receiver standpoint. And then you got JT, just an all-around back that can tear it up if you give him his carries. The one thing I will say, and I know since you're on the show with me, is when you buckle down and know who you're playing, I feel like you play a better game. And so I do see you having to buckle down here because you've got a couple tough games with Denver, then Bill, and then the Jets in the AFC to get to the OMFL Bowl. That would probably be we can call that the gauntlet of the OMFL because Denver and Kobe are representative in the season 102, and you would have to go through both of them this season, and then you would have Bill, who was in the AFC Championship game last year. But as I said, I do think that you beat the Bills in the second round to advance on to play Kobe in the AFC Championship game. Bill is not playing the same football that he did when he made his playoff run last year and at the beginning of this season. Then the Jets versus the Colts in the AFC Championship game. This goes back to kind of the Cowboys Commanders. It's a coin flip. I think any given day, since his offense is firing on all cylinders, he could win this game. But I could also see him, having a key turnover or something, and just Kobe, being Kobe, pulls one out. But I'm going to go with Cincy here because I do think that Kobe is going to be missing his key tackle and key DN in Quinnen Williams and Mekhi Becton. And I think that is the difference maker and hurts Kobe in a way from the line play. So I do have the Colts advancing and playing Dwayne, as Maniac said, in the OMFL Bowl, season 104. It is going to be Dwayne versus Cincy. And this would be an interesting game because of Cincy in the regular season played the Dwayne, and it was 41-19. I don't see that being the case in the OMFL Bowl. And I think Dwayne buckles down and makes it a closer game, obviously, for sure. But that would be one heck of a matchup for a rematch in the OMFL Bowl. Those are our picks here. We will give you another update here in about a week on our next show, which should be close to the OMFL Bowl. With that being said, I know we kind of want to highlight, we talked about it earlier, just a wild card round. And this has been fun to see. We talked about the parity of the league, and so I do like seeing that some of these upsets. And I encourage those heading into season 105 with the drafts, build your teams. Have the hope to get in and be one of these 5, 6, 7 seeds that has a chance. And obviously, everybody wants to win their division, but if you don't, you still got hope. All you got to do is sneak in the playoffs. And this is the second time we've had a 7 seed make it out of the first round. Season 102, Kobe did it and won the OMFL Bowl. So, Massimo, good luck. Let's see if you can run the table here for your season 104, just like Kobe did. Moving on to the next segment of our show, we're going to kind of just do a quick season recap. And I kind of want to talk about a few things with the votes that are up currently posted. So I'm going to pull up the votes that we have currently going. And while I do that, I'll switch over here. So you're going to see here that if you happen, let's pay attention to the toilet bowl. But if you guys don't make the playoffs, that's a great chance to keep playing and earn some incentive points and, keep playing your games and, find new plays at work and stay active. But
yeah, plug in, don't flush it.
Yeah, absolutely. As we have here, we have the offensive player of the year. It is quite an interesting race right now with Breece Hall leading the way by 1 vote, but Michael Thomas in second place with 4 votes. Trey Lance and Burrow both at 3, and then Kenny Pickerson at 1 for offensive player of the year. And then for the defensive player of the year, we have Joey Bosa leading the way with 5, Drake Jackson, Jonathan Abram, Zach Cunningham both with 2, and Fuller has not gotten a vote yet. And then offensive rookie of the year, we are Jeff George running away with it with 9 votes. Pritchett, Knight, and Snoop James and Slider Perriman do have a couple votes there, but it does look like that is Jeff George's award. And then defensive rookie of the year, we have Tosh Simmons leading the way with 7. Looks like he's going to win that. Trent Brewer is in second with 3. Jeremy Slate, Von Ratliff both have 2, and Paul Hutchins have 1. And then we're on to Coach of the Year. And we have our nominees as the 49ers, Browns, Jets, Bengals, and Saints. Saints have 5, Jets have 5. Then Niners and Bengals both have 3. Browns have 1. And then Owner of the Year, our nominees are Bill, Denbrew, myself, Trey, and Cincy. And I'm kind of actually shocked to see myself with 7, Denbrew and Bill in second with 3, Trey and Cincy with 1. As we kind of looked at those, is there anything that you guys feel like maybe a candidate was missed or left out? Do you guys feel like we have the accurate candidates there? We won't ask for your picks just to keep them confidential, but I'm just seeing if there's maybe a candidate that you felt that was missed, or do you feel that the right candidates were there?
Yeah. I got one guy that's not on the list. He's been talked about all year. Defensive player of the year. Where the heck's Marshawn Lattimore? Why is he not on this list?
You read my mind. I was going to say that exactly. I don't think there was anybody bigger for a team than Marshawn Lattimore. I single-handedly, I think, watched Marshawn Lattimore win Nate probably at least 3 games this season. I know he kind of struggled the last game in the playoffs, I think they on the stream said he had dropped like 2 or 3 interceptions, but those are still, batted balls down that are not completions. So, but I just think that Lattimore, I think, was just kind of the bread and butter for Nate's defense that kind of held that on the back end with that.
Absolutely. I mean, I just got done experiencing it firsthand. Nate's defense is solid, very potent, and Lattimore was tied for first with Xavier Woods up from Carolina, Jonathan Abram out of Buffalo with 10 picks. So it was a 3-way tie there for first. But I think the biggest thing is we can sit here and talk about how individual stats, but I mean, you mentioned it. I think Maniac, that how big of a impact he was. It always seemed like he came up with the big plays at the right time, but not only that, like from a passing standpoint, the Saints were top 5. Total defense, they were a top 5, and that was led by Lattimore and Tyrann Mathieu. But Lattimore just kind of being the guy, took out that top receiver, but not only took him out, had 10 picks, 17 deflections, and even from the outside, not like a safety or linebacker, he had 55 tackles, 30 of them being solo. So definitely a strong year from Marshon Lattimore. And then, like I said, here we are with Tyrann Mathieu having 9 picks as well. I personally think that Nick Cross could have made the list. I feel like Xavier Woods could have made the list. The only thing with Woods is Carolina was on the verge of making the playoffs. Did come on, second half was strong, so I think we could put him in there. But just from the interception standpoint, that was big. And then, but like Brian Burns was another guy for the Panthers, 26 sacks. And I thought not only that, but Myles Garrett, like for Denver's defense being so strong and being a top 5 defense, I felt like Myles Garrett was pretty much game changing. So I was interested to see that he wasn't on the list. I mean, obviously we can only pull so many guys, but definitely some names that were not there that I thought were going to be there. So I was interested on that from the defensive standpoint. And then offensively, the only thing that I really think I had was, and I'm trying to remember, I'm actually pulling it up here. For numbers, was Tyreek Hill. I mean, I know, but I feel like that was such a big, offensive piece for Massimo. You take Tyreek Hill out, and he's not even the same team. And Tyreek Hill had 1,700 yards, which was second in the league behind Michael Thomas. Had 15 touchdowns, and like I said, it's hard to say okay, well, Michael Thomas is definitely better, but I think Tyreek Hill just being the big play guy that kind of just takes the top off the defense for Massimo should have at least been recognized as an option. But, we can only put so many guys on the list. But it really is kind of crazy looking at this, how Michael Thomas has 500 yards more than Tyreek Hill, had 129 catches. And so definitely Michael Thomas leading the way there. But yeah, I just was curious if we had any of the guys that we missed. We went over the votes. So if you have not voted, make sure you get your votes in. Chance for guys to win some XP. And, obviously take the time, and do your homework and be fair on that voting. Give guys a chance to earn some points. As we turn the corner, I want to look at what are your guys' thoughts with the draft. How do you feel like the draft is going to take place this year? Is there anybody that you anticipate to maybe have the opportunity that could revamp their team, or that you feel like is going to have a strong draft and kind of just flip the script for their team going forward, or maybe even not even flip the script, but just kind of retool if they already have a team that is strong but just need a few pieces. I just kind of want to see you guys' thoughts as, like I said, we're in the playoffs, draft's right around the corner with the off season. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah. So I'm gonna start with one end of the spectrum and go to the other. I don't know how Outlaw thinks in Madden, but I know we touched on this earlier in the year. Yeah, the quarterbacks that he thinks he's gonna win with aren't the answers. I think Zach Wilson was supposed to be answer, and we all know the only thing he answers to is probably his mom, your mom, everybody's mom. That's the only thing Zach Wilson's good at. So I think he's got to go with Parker Colt. He's projected to be the best quarterback in the draft, and he's got a top pick. I think he's got to get that quarterback there to help solidify that team, kind of build that offense up. He showed signs of improvement on the defense, so I think now he's just got to figure out, what plays to call and how to read the offense, and I think he can improve. We already saw a nice improvement from him. And then on the other end, I was looking at before this, got the Bengals. It's the only team so far with two first-round draft picks, and then he's got 2 in the second. So he's got 4 picks in the first 2 rounds. And that's a heavy hitter there. So he can do some damage, whether he trades something that trades out of that, or just picks up 4 youthful guys to help out his team. That's going to help the contract. He's got a couple big contracts due, and we're going to see how he handles his cap, and maybe he drops a couple guys. He's already looks like released Von Bell, so maybe he goes out a secondary guy with one of those 4 picks. I could definitely see that happening to help out Stallworth there and Jesse Bates. So we'll see what Wilcox does with those 4 picks.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at the Titans. I think. Let's see. I'm trying to think who's the owner. The Truth, isn't it? Is that correct?
Yes, the truth.
That is the truth.
That is the truth. Yeah, the truth will set you free. But the Titans, they've had a decent roster to start off with. Madden. I know. I think he traded away Henry, and I think he's on the Falcons now. With the Falcons rolling 2-15.
Yeah, Falcons got the first overall pick.
Yeah, and so I think he has the ability to maybe try to change the culture of his team going forward. I know looking at kind of his roster, he's got a lot of good pieces. He's got a young quarterback. I think he drafted out of this first season, or it may have been his import. I'm not sure. It's like second season. Sebastian Fullen. That's a good quarterback. He's fast, and that should be able to build around. I do think that he still needs to address his running back with the lack of not having Henry. He does have Hills on his team, but I think he could address that. That would help his running game. But I think where he really needs to improve, and I don't think, unless you go early and get a top-notch guy, I really think that he needs to improve his offensive line. He does have some young guys in the offensive line, but he's also got some older guys that are they're not going to get really any better. And we're talking like in the mid 70s, and really that's not great in Madden. And I noticed that a couple of guys are not really good at run blocking, so I think that would be position that he could improve. And then on the other side in the trenches, his defensive line is lacking in depth, and I noticed he gave up quite a few rushing yards as well. So that tends to get you out of games. So if he can improve those aspects of his team, I think the Titans could turn this 4-win season into possibly a 7 or 8 win season to get things going in season 105.
All right, Herb. What are you thinking, man?
I think Kurt went to sleep.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute there. My bad.
I said the truth set you free too much.
Yeah, no, I had my mic on mute. I did not realize that it was on mute. My fault there. I was trying not to pick up any background while you were talking, and here I am. And my mic lights up red when it's live, so I don't even know how I missed that, but my fault. Looking at the picks here, as Cincy did state, the Bengals have a couple picks. I definitely think that the Bengals could make a move. Those 2 picks are later in the first round, but it's still 2 value higher picks. But I'm looking at one person who can make a really solid move. And I have a couple other guys that I feel like could really benefit from, making a move in the draft and getting another solid piece. I noticed Roger has a number of picks that are like not his picks in the 2nd to 5th round, making a few trades there with the Texans. But I'm going to go with Jay Glaze. I think Jay Glaze and the Broncos having a top 10 pick can pick up a playmaker. And I remember Jay Glaze, if he can get back to his roots of finding a strong receiver and developing that style in that division, I think Jay Glaze could really become a threat. I think like he has the running game from his Javonte Williams, I believe is who it is. So I think that is already set in piece. But I think if he goes and gets a younger receiver, possibly an import into Madden 24, I'd like to see, maybe he feels it's not a need, but I just remember him always having such a strong receiver, and that was when he was at his best. And being that he has a top 10 pick, I'm thinking that might be a good fit for him. I also think that Seattle had a really good draft last year, has a top 10 pick in the 7th spot right now. I could see Meek taking advantage and getting another solid player. But he's in that division with D-Money, and we can't lie. I mean, it's D-Money's division until otherwise. D-Money will be back for next year. But the Rams are another team. I think they could retool with the 8th pick and kind of rebuild that defensive, or add to that defensive line of the defense. And I think Tim was having moments where he was having a good part of his season and then kind of fell out of the playoffs and was just like, okay, I'm throwing the towel in. But I think if he comes out of the gate quick and has a good draft and has a good offseason, it'd be interesting to see what he can do since he does have a top 10 pick. But my sleeper pick, I'm going to go with, and I hate to say this because I'm not looking forward to it, is I'm going to go with your Vikings. I just think you have a really good understanding of building teams, and in the past you've drafted well. And I think like drafting a tight end when the Panthers, don't remember his name, but then you had the quarterback that I actually drafted and you took over, and you just drafted really well. Most seasons you find like people that you need, and I think that you're taking over a Vikings team that needs kind of an overhaul or a facelift and a new look, but they're not like far out of the picture, if that makes sense. So I think that you are my sleeper pick to have as the best draft for this upcoming draft. With the number 5 pick, you can get a stud out there, and then you have 2 seconds, 2 thirds, and 2 fourths. So lots of value in that second, third, and fourth round where you can add some depth, maybe get a hidden dev in, a couple hidden dev players out of those picks. And, with the offseason free agency, it'll be interesting to see. But you're kind of the guy for me that I think is set up for success with having, 2, 4, 6, 7 picks in the first 4 rounds. And obviously that first round pick being a top 5 pick. So that's my draft analysis, I should say. And what I'm looking forward to as this season goes. For me personally, I'm sitting in the middle round of the number 18, and I don't have a third round, so I'm just kind of hoping to score in the first and the second. And, like I said, I don't feel like I'm too far off, but I do need to add a few things to be a contender for the league. And obviously in the North, if you have a good draft, you're going to improve the Vikings. The Vikings are going to be a solid team. And then we already have Priest and Trey and myself. So it's going to be a gauntlet. I feel like the NFC North might be closing in on the top division with you taking over the Vikings to maybe compete with the NFC East as the top division in the OMFL next year. Picking up with that, I kind of gave you my pick already, but I'm going to see who is your draft winner for season 1 at the end of season 104 going into season 105. Who do you think is going to have the best draft coming out of it? Who's your draft winner?
I guess I'll go ahead and go here. I think looking from past drafts, and thanks for the props, man. I'm definitely looking forward to. And there's a part of me that says that I'm going to do it. I'm going to be a top draft guy. I do already have kind of like a plan in motion, but I also want to point out that the Browns have quite a few picks as well in those top rounds. I think you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 picks in the top 4 rounds. We're talking about Denver here. This kind of helps him retool, and I think with the past from what I've remembered, Denver always seems to find those hidden gem guys, and he's going to have those 6 picks there in the top 4. I think you look at Denver possibly being your top drafter in season 105 draft.
Solid pick, Cincy. Who's your pick?
I really do like that pick a lot, because I look at the Browns team and he's going to get some sexy picks. Like his D-line's covered with some solid veterans, and his O-line minus his right tackle is all like 23 and younger, so he doesn't have to get any trenches figured out. So he's going to have some nice sexy picks, I think. But switch it up here. I think I'm going to go with another guy who gets a little too much involved with the draft. He likes this aspect of the game maybe more than playing sometimes. I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers there. If you look at his year this year, looks like he's going all in on the draft here. So he's got his original first-round pick, and then he's got 4 second-round picks. So he's going to be all over in the second round. So he's got 5 picks in the first 2 rounds, and he usually does his homework in the draft. So I think he's going to retool here for season 105.
Why is it that I'm in a division where I have the Packers, who have 5 picks in the first 2 rounds? I've got Maniac, who has 7 picks in the first 4 rounds. And we already know Trey is probably going to pull some rabbit out of his bag of tricks and, just be some voodoo shit that he always does. But whatever. I mean, why am I in this division? What's that, Maniac?
I said Trey always pulls those 7th rounders and ends up being like rookie of the year or whatever.
Yeah, he's probably gonna like cut his quarterback, draft a new rookie quarterback, and be like up for rookie of the year next year. I mean, that's just like something. He'll do something crazy, or he'll be the guy that has the like first round top 5 running back that falls to like the 4th round into his lap again, or something crazy. I mean, I just feel like that's just what the I don't know. I guess the bad voodoo against the Bears. I don't know. It is what it is. But with that being said, I feel like those are some solid picks. Priest definitely does his homework. Hopefully, he doesn't waste 2 of those, 3 of those. I mean, for me, I hope he does, but hopefully, he doesn't waste 2 or 3 of those second round picks on running backs or a kicker or punter or anything like that. But he usually does his homework pretty well. So it'll be interesting to see there. And then Maniac, you've got your 7, and so it'll be interesting to see. With that, we have a question here, and I didn't have this a part of our show, but I'm going to answer it because Trey has asked. He has a question for the 3 of us. Which team that lost in the wild card do you think has the biggest road back to the season 105 playoffs? So we're kind of backtracking, going back to the playoffs, but I'm just seeing this comment. Which team that lost in season 105, 104 playoffs in the wild card? So we have the Bengals, the Chiefs, the Browns, the Giants, and the Bears. So far, we'll leave the Commanders and Cowboys since it's unplayed. But of those 5 teams, who do you think has the biggest road back to making the playoffs in season 105?
That's a pretty good question. Let's see, I'm trying to take a quick look at salaries right now. I think as far as like your strength of schedule, I think the Giants, I mean the juggernaut that is the NFC East, I think is you always have to throw that team in there as having the biggest road back to get to the playoffs because when you got the Commanders and the Cowboys normally fighting for 1 and 2, you're not always given that 3rd spot getting into the playoff, which I know he was the 2nd spot, but the Commanders did go on vacation. I think they kind of opened the door for him. But I think, and I was going to say, I was looking at his salary that was going to, but he's got like $105 million in free cap, so he's going to be retooling his team. So I'm not going to go with that. I actually think it's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. I think, like you were talking about with Jay Glaze and the Raiders and Pepper, New York, kind of at the end seemed like he got hot, kind of got back to playing the way he was playing, I think, last season. So he got a little bit more confident. So I think it's going to be really difficult for the Chiefs to make it back to the playoffs for season 105, just for the simple fact, like you said, Jake Glaze, if he can get that top tier weapon on offense, I think it was Jay Glaze like 2 months ago drafted that wide receiver that was basically like the Calvin Johnson clone or something like that. He might have been even better than Calvin Johnson, but like 6'6" and was like 97 speed or something like that. He dominated right after he got that guy on his team, and I feel like you were saying, if he gets somebody like that, I think he's going to compete, possibly take over that spot from Shock's fan. And then when you got Pepper and Jay Bowles on there improving, I think that's going to be the tough road back to the playoffs in season 105.
Cincy, who do you have as your pick from those 5 teams making it back to season 105, or not making it back, but who has the toughest road?
Yeah. That is a tough call there. There's a couple teams that I'm looking at. Based off of how they finished, I just think we're gonna agree with Maniac and go with the Chiefs here. He's definitely gonna have a much tougher schedule in season 105, being the division winner, and I think we've channeled Pepper enough. I don't think he's gonna waste season 105. I think he's gonna make a run at the division, and like you guys were talking about with the Broncos. I think he's going to retool with the draft and make a splash. I think he's going to turn the corner. He had a bad season last time. And then the Raiders, I think he I don't know. He's kind of hit and miss right now. So I think he could give him a run, but we'll see midway through. But I think with the strength of schedule for next season, I think the Chiefs are just going to have a tough time winning that division. I mean, I'm not saying they can't win the division, but we're going off the question. I just think the Bengals and the Browns are going to both get in next year, no problem. And who's the other one? The Giants. I think he'll be all right. He's got a tough pick, but actually, honestly, it was between your Bears, Hurt, and the Chiefs. Those are the two I was between.
Yeah, I would definitely would not argue that. I think Little Koch, we talked about how he has a couple first round picks. I think that's only going to make his team stronger. The Chiefs are going to have a tough road back because I do see Jay Glaze getting better. I see Pepper kind of getting back to his ways of being a little bit stronger, and even Jay Bowles if in the Vegas as the Raiders. I think if he can, be more competitive with a couple pieces there, but I think Jay Glaze is the guy that I'm looking to kind of, as my prediction for season 105, way out. I think he's going to come out of the gates quick for next season and kind of be the guy to beat. But Sox does have a strong offense with a couple of receivers. Still going to have Patty Mahomes coming back, but he does lose Travis Kelce as he cut him. And he's just got some money, big contracts that he's got to figure out. So, the name of the game is how do you manage that cap? You mentioned it with Little Koch and the Bengals. It's just going to be how we manage or how they manage their cap. Personally, I think the Giants do have a very tough road. That's 4 games between the Cowboys and the Commanders. But being that he finished third, I think that plays right into Collins' hands because he's not going to have as tough of a schedule from that standpoint. Or actually, he finished what, second? So I mean, he might have a little bit tougher. I think the guy that benefits obviously is Penguins finishing third and getting into the playoffs this year. He's going to benefit significantly on that next year. But from me, I hate saying this and I won't argue with it. I do think that I have probably the toughest road. I don't have the draft capital that my entire division has. I don't have some of the strength like the Lions have with their pass rush, their um, weapons that they have from a edge rush. I got a good edge rush, but I do need a few things to shore up my defense. It's good, but it needs to be elite in the division that I'm in. And then offensively, I'm missing a few pieces. I feel like so. Unless I absolutely hit home in the free agency and the draft with like an absolute steal, I feel like I'm going to be kind of treading in the same waters. And being that I'm second, I feel like Priest is going to have a really good year next year, facing a lot of third place teams. And the strength of schedule is going to play in his favor. And Maniac, you're going to be fourth place. And like I said, I think you're going to just quickly have a facelift on that team and have that team rocking and rolling for season 105. I think you're eager to get back to playing, so you're going to be plugged in. And anytime you're plugged in and ready for draft, like that does not play well for the rest of your division and the players that you have to play. And so, with that being said, that's why I'm picking myself to have the toughest road. That was a good question. I appreciate Trey posting that, but I just thought that would be a quick way to answer that. As we kind of are going to wrap this up, being that we're about an hour and some change in, the one thing that I want to do is just for fun, who is your season 105 team to watch out that could be the season 105 champion? Obviously, we have a lot to unfold, but I'm just saying, you have that magic 8 ball or the crystal ball. We're looking at season 104. Let's just for fun, who do you have as your season 105 long shot looking into the future? Who's your season 105 champion?
Well, I'm shaking that 8 ball right now, so I'm waiting for it to pop back
Shake
up.
it hard. Shake it hard.
Whatever's in that 8 ball, it's submerged. That's for sure. Wow, 105. That's a long ways away. We got free agency. We got drafts. We got injuries. You know what? Let's.
You've been saying the flightless bird all of this year, and I just think it's, you've been one of those guys that just sticks with the team, and so I'm just, like I said, I just for fun. You can't be wrong, maybe you're right, but just who's your pick? Just throw somebody out there that you feel like.
That's 105. All right. Let's go AFC. Let's go Kobe.
Kobe with the Jets, season 105. He's obviously got a good chance here in season 104. What is your pick, Maniac?
I'm sitting here thinking, and I'm thinking, and I'm thinking, and I'm thinking, and I'm thinking. This is kind of really like hard, but just to throw. And you said like the long shot, right? Like it's either or just.
Oh, you want a long shot? Oh, I can change it. I got a long shot.
I'm just gonna go out and say that Nate, and I'm not kidding. I'm not kissing butt here, but Nate has really like the last couple of seasons really shaped that team pretty well. Got the young quarterback. He's gonna obviously get some stuff, some incentives in the offseason to build the quarterback up even more. He's always been a solid drafter, but he really works better at like in free agency. He picks up the guys that he needs, and I see Nate actually making the OMFL Bowl, and I'm just gonna say that he makes it in season 105. I know he'll just say like, "No, what are you smoking, Maniac?" Because I'm not making no OMFL Bowl. I mean, you can still make the OMFL Bowl in season 104, So, but I think that he's going to have a little bit better quarterback with the incentives and different things around him and stuff. And so I'm just going to give Nate the shout out for season 105 being the
as Nate's in the background saying, "Who dat?" I think that's an interesting pick. I think Nate's defense is definitely championship quality. I couldn't get the word out there, but I think his defense is Marshawn Lattimore. He had Davenport playing at a high level. If he plays like he did against me most weeks, I mean, that edge rush was relentless. And then obviously Rhodes in the middle as his linebacker, just against the run. That was a tough defense, and that's definitely championship quality. My early pick is I have a few interesting things, but I'm gonna stick with, and I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna say Little Koch. I think Little Koch comes back, takes those 2 picks, and gets hungry, buckles down. Denver's his buddy, keeps pushing him within the division, and I think Little Koch comes back next season pretty strong, makes the right moves, and ends up being the guy to beat, and sneaks away with an OMFL Bowl. I would love to see it. I think he's uh, a quality dude, and but I see, with some of that, I think it would be fun to see Outlaw get 5 or 6 wins. I think Duvall kind of buckles back in now that he's had that year where he can relax a little bit after the FPR stuff. Hopefully, Truth locks back in and can revamp the team some. Like I said, Jay Glaze, I think he.
You don't need the South to get any better.
We need everybody to get better, but I do see Jay Glaze coming back around. The East is wide open. Lost Sniper could throw himself in the picture. And then on the NFC side, I'm interested to see what the South does because like Black Cats really caught fire there towards the end and down the stretch, and almost snuck away with a playoff spot against instead of me getting that 7th seed. It could have easily been the Panthers, and I'd like to see what he can do next season. And then also, what was interesting, I thought, was Kevin. Kevin ended up with 7 wins, and I didn't think he would even get 5. So the way things were going for him early on, the Falcons getting Derrick Henry last year and adding that to that offense and having the top pick for this season, they could obviously get better. So there's a lot of options there. We just talked about the Vikings, and the Packers. So there's so many teams that, and this, Nate says it all the time. It's, we're at that point. We're wrapping up season 104. You're going to be going into the off season, and everybody's going to have a fresh, clean slate, new hopes of this is their season, and it really is. Buckle down, folks. Make some moves in the free agency. Make some trades if you have them. Partake in those incentive opportunities for Gold Sheet right out of the gate and everything else, because that can also help. But I forgot to say one thing. If D-Money comes back and plays next year and plays through the playoffs, I mean, D-Money could easily be the guy to beat once again. So that's all I have for tonight's show. Do you guys have anything that you want to add in, talk about before we wrap this show up for the playoff episode?
No, I just just touch up on Kevin there. I think he goes out and gets a big number 2 receiver, because that's what he was missing. That was his key piece there, and he makes a nice deep run in season 105. I can see that.
Yeah, it's just I think that's a good point about Kevin too. I will say that I'm glad to be back in the OMFL. Been a long road back, and I was enjoying just being the guy on the outside looking in. For the most part, I mean, I was ready to get back in, but I was content being the guy on the outside looking in because I was still being able to be a part of the community and with you guys with the show and with everything that I was trying to do to be involved, because again, like I said, I have this thing inside me. I just want to help make this game and the experience enjoyable, because this Madden, with all the stuff that EA had done with the loss of the franchises and different things, and I just felt like that it's hard to enjoy a game like this, but it can be enjoyed, and you just gotta have that mindset to enjoy it no matter what. And things like the down and distance and Press Pass Live and Tony Bono and those things like that can kind of help bring some enjoyment, some laughter, and just overall good feelings about community and what's being built and what has been built as in the OMFL. And so I'm just glad to be back and be a significant part of it again.
Absolutely. I mean, we're happy to have you on our show. We're happy to have you back in the OMFL. I think things can easily be said. We always, as humans, sometimes can take things for granted and think that there are greener pastures on the other side of the fence, and then we find out that they're not that way. Myself, I've been in those shoes where I thought maybe there was a better opportunity, and or I just got too busy and I chose to kind of step away, and then I find myself like, you know what, I really miss this community. I really miss
Absolutely.
that. So I'm happy to be here and putting on the show, like making it enjoyable, spending time with the guys, talking about the league, talking about you know everything, and then putting in some good laughs. If you guys could have heard what it's like pre-show this week in our last episode, it's like Cincy took some laughing gas, and then we all just start laughing. But that's what good times are for. Um, but bottom line, Maniac, I guess I can ask you one thing. You said you like to be here and just kind of a part of it. If that's the case, don't go out and have a stellar draft so I don't have another team to compete against. But no, I welcome the competition, and you and I have always had some fun games, and like I said, I anticipate it to the NFC North is only going to be better going forward with you in it, and it's going to be some battles. And no, Outlaw, you cannot have the Bears back. Just throwing that out there. But with that being said, we are, like I said, at an hour and some change. This is our playoff episode. We look forward to watching and following these games. I will open up the door. If anybody is interested in joining us, we would love to have you guys. We do this show once a week. We'll you guys can join us if you'd like. I also am willing to, if I can find the time and your guys' game is scheduled, I have things set up to where I can actually commentate your game. And I'd love to do that. And then bring one of these guys with me possibly to do that. And kind of have an OMFL TV broadcast type of thing, which is something that I do want to do going forward, not only for these playoffs, but season 105, just to bring another element to our league. So I've been working with Nate on that as well. So just an insight, that is something that is in the mix and in the brewing, and I do have the setup for it. But it's just a matter of finding the time when your game is scheduled and it fitting in my schedule as well. And we'll go from there. But that is it for tonight, folks. Welcome to OMFL After Dark, Down and Distance Show, which is our weekly show. If you guys can tune in, make sure you tune in to the Press Pass Live and all the other content with the OMFL. We appreciate you listening. I'm out. I've got to go to bed. I'm super tired. I'm sure these guys are too. But I'll go ahead and say peace, and I'll let these guys say what they need to say to head out. And we'll see you guys in a week.
Peace.
Playoffs.